Japan could release the Fukushima wastewater into the Pacific Ocean technically whenever it wants. In fact, as early as next month. Then how smooth will the process be? For more, we're joined by Professor Song Se-ryun this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
The IAEA has technically given the go-ahead for Japan's plan to release the wastewater. Now, does that mean Japan can take action without seeking consent from anybody now? I mean, are there no legal issues that could stand in the way?
Well, technically, yes. IAEA is an intergovernmental organization within the UN system that seeks to promote, and the word is promote, not regulate, the peaceful use of nuclear energy and preventing weaponizing it, and also ensuring nuclear safety. So its power is the reports it generates. It reports to General Assembly and Security Council in the UN system, but it does not have the authority to permit or prohibit the release. So the decision by the Japanese government to release their treated water rests solely on its country authority. But of course, it also comes with diplomatic and also potentially legal consequences that it might generate. For example, for now, the IAEA said that given the standard we know, it does not have the harmful effect on the environment and the health. But that also limits the premise that, as far as we know, that's the case. But going forward, there might be adverse impacts that are discovered. And also, there are other international laws, for example, UNCLOS, which is a United Nations Convention of the Laws of the Sea, also might play a role where Japan could be a subject of responsibility if any adverse impacts surfaces. And also, IAEA, it's not the final result of this matter. The ongoing monitoring and also the compliance with various standards with the IAEA is an ongoing matter. So it will continue to play the role.
Right, staying with those possible legal consequences. Now, you've mentioned, well, we all know that not everybody is happy with IAEA's report, right? Mainly Japanese fishermen and also countries like China. I mean, can those who are opposed to the plan take legal action? Is that possible?
Well, first and foremost, I think for now it's a diplomatic matter. But as I mentioned earlier, they can bring it to IAEA if any of the premises that we're surmising is found to be untrue, if there are environmental matters and also human rights violations because of the adverse impacts on the habitats and the human health. Those would constitute a violation of the international laws. So they can bring it to, if it's appropriate, to IAEA. And also, you can bring it to ICJ, International Court of Justice, if they can substantiate the international law violations. Of course, there's always a problem of the jurisdiction. Japan has accepted the compulsory jurisdiction necessary for adjudication, but it does have extensive reservation clause. For example, they don't agree to be subjected to the marine life matters. So we have to see whether it works out to be a jurisdictionally feasible. But there are chances to be brought into the adjudicating body in the international law forums. But for now, probably they need more investigation if that were to happen.
Right, you've just hinted at possible legal consequences, but the question is, what might a worst-case scenario look like? I mean, could it be trouble over the much controversial seafood imports from the Fukushima region? What could the worst-case scenario?
Well, at this point, the IAEA and also science community is looking at our experiences before and cases before. For example, you have a Chernobyl island and also 3 Mile Island matters. So the data generated from those is being a guide to the regulations and the standard that we are using. But of course, those do not really have generated the long-term effect sufficiently enough. So the worst case scenario probably is that we'll discover that there is a very adverse effects going forward. Mm-hmm. And also another worst effect probably is coming from a political sector where, as the opposition party is claiming at this point, all the imports from the Japanese region should be banned. Probably, if that kind of legislation passes, probably it'll generate a diplomatic matters and also probably a dispute not in the IAEA ground, but also World Trade Organization. That is because it might be seen as a retaliatory matter or undue burden on the free trade in the world. So it can branch out to different matters domestically and also in diplomatic matters.
Right. Just Japan releasing of the wastewater into the Pacific Ocean can spread into other issues in broader fields, like you mentioned. Now, like you said, South Korea's main opposition Democratic Party is saying that it's going to push to pass a bill on banning any seafoods imports from that area. Now, how likely is that such a bill would actually be passed?
Well, the Minju Party has the votes to carry in the National Assembly. Mm-hmm. But of course, it has to pass or balance the power mechanism. So I think a lot of people will predict that the president might veto the bill. But other than the procedure in the National Assembly, you have to think about what kind of political landscape it will create. I think there would be a domestic opposition from those people engaged in the business and fisheries. And as I mentioned, if that becomes a law, probably Japan will seek to oppose it in the WTO and other venues and cause some diplomatic relations. So I think that the strategy to make it into the legislation probably is not going to be a good idea going forward in the short term, because if you don't have the further evidences that will refute what IAEA is saying scientifically and also policy-wise, probably that's not going to be well played out in the legal arena. And also diplomatically, they would not have a probably forceful argument that the harm will merit the extensive and also drastic measure such as a total import ban.
Right. All right, Professor Song, thank you as always for your insights. Have a great day.
My pleasure. Thank you.